and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. Today we have an angst video, and I just want to say, please stick around to the end. I know this one is going to be shorter, but I do have a couple important things to say. So let's just get into it. They slammed the door as they entered the shared apartment, fresh tears streaming down their face. 10:56 p.m. the clock read. "What the fuck?" they yelled at the man sitting on the couch. He had what looked to be a microwave dinner box in front of him as he laid back on it. He turned around to look at them. "What did I do now?" he asked in a tone showing disinterest in the situation before him. "You don't fucking know? That's it. I'm done. Check your phone, you asshole." They quickly exited the room to their shared bedroom. Earlier that night, a listener waited outside the restaurant Tsukishima had booked reservations for. They stood outside until the very last second they could before heading inside. They sat at their table and texted him, telling them that they were there. The waiter kept coming to the table, asking for their order. Soon, an hour passed, still no messages from him. They ended up ordering a drink to calm their nerves a bit. They couldn't help the thought that he had forgotten. They called and texted him a few more times. Another hour had passed by now. Looking to their phone to see it was 10 p.m., they had been waiting for him since 7:30 outside the restaurant. Lately, the two had no time to spend with each other. When Tsukishima had a day off, he would call up his friends and go out with them. When the two did have the off chance of seeing each other, Tsukishima would start a fight with them. The fights were about anything and everything, even something as small as a sock left on the floor. Tonight was supposed to be the night that the two could finally sit down and talk to each other. They finally gave up and left at 10:30. Which is how they ended up here. Tsukishima walked into the room behind them. He watched as they tossed their suitcase onto the bed and filled it full of their clothes. "Can we talk about this before you do anything dumb?" "This isn't something dumb. What was dumb was falling in love with a heartless prick like you," they shouted, slamming the bag closed. "What the fuck, listener? You heard me. I'm sick and tired of feeling like I'll never be enough of you. I'm sick of all these fucking fights. I waited 3 hours for you tonight. And the worst part isn't that I was there alone, or that I was waiting for you to fucking show up. Finally. No, the worst part was deep down I knew you didn't care. I knew deep down you wouldn't fucking come because of that. And it seems that I was right. I just forgot it was tonight. Why don't we talk now? We're both here after all. Let's just get this over with already." "Get this over with?" They repeated his sentence back to him. "How are we supposed to just get this over with? You know what? I'm leaving, and we are done. I'm so over this. I can't take it anymore." "Come on, listener, it was a mistake." "No, this isn't a mistake. Loving you was a mistake. Don't contact me again, Tsukishima." And with that, they left, right out of the room and down to the front door. The loud slam echoing through the apartment. Tsukishima sat down on the bed, picking up his phone, tears staining his cheeks now. He was dialing a number as he put it up to his ear. "You were right. I made them think I didn't want to be around them anymore," the person on the other side responded. Tsukishima soon hung up to a knock on his door. It was his best friend Yamaguchi. The two were seated on the couch talking about how they could fix this. "They told me to leave them alone. It's over. It's done. I messed up, Yams. I didn't even give it to them." He tossed the small box across the coffee table, then slammed his head down into his hands once again. While this was all happening, listener had their car pulled over to the side of the road, tears pouring down their face. They pressed their face into the steering wheel, sobbing immensely. They already missed him. Not the man who acted like he did now. The one who would be happy to see them, the one who gave them soft kisses, the one who would hold them as they slept. They missed who he was 2 months ago. They weren't sure where they were going anymore. They just wanted to be far away from him and the new ache in their heart. It's been almost 1 month since the breakup between Tsukishima and Listener. Tsukishima was acting more distant with everyone than he had before. If he wasn't working, he was at home, hugging a stuffed Stegosaurus Listener had given him on their first-year anniversary. Yamaguchi would show up at his apartment to make sure he was eating. Yamaguchi was still trying to reach out to Listener. They responded once telling him that they knew that he didn't care about them, then blocked Yamaguchi right after. Even though Listener was putting on an act that they were fine to Yamaguchi, it was the farthest thing from the truth. They sat in their apartment, longingly gazing out the window most nights. They would stare down at the city lights, remembering all of the evenings they spent out with Tsukishima, close by where they were. They decided one particularly rainy day that they would head out to get some groceries. The rain was coming down in almost as if it was a waterfall. The listener had left their apartment, forgetting to grab their umbrella or even a jacket with a hood. They walked up their block to the nearest store, entering inside. Not too far from where they were standing, a wide-eyed Yamaguchi had spotted them. He was picking up something to take over to Tsukishima's house for them to eat. The listener just grabbed a simple bowl of cold soba, already pre-made in a small cooler. They left as quickly as they came. Yamaguchi was one person behind them in line, and they didn't seem to notice him. They were lost in their own thoughts. He knew they wouldn't talk to him, as anyone who tried, they would block them. Claiming Tsukishima made himself very clear. Yamaguchi knew how bad Tsukishima was doing and couldn't help but himself from walking a safe distance behind listener. He was having a silent battle with himself over if this was just creepy or if he had a good reason. He looked up, noticing they were climbing up the stairs to what he assumed to be their new apartment. He watched as they walked up to what looked like the 4th floor, third apartment on the end. He stepped under the side, protecting himself from the rain as he pulled out his phone to send a quick message to Tsukishima. Upstairs in the apartment, they dropped their soaking wet coat down on the floor. They approached the bathroom as they fell to their knees, crying once again. The empty rooms were a constant reminder to them of what they had once had. They thought they may have seen Yamaguchi out tonight, but they worried that they had just imagined it due to the overbearing loneliness they had felt lately. At Tsukishima's apartment, Yamaguchi was now walking in the door to sad Tsukishima sitting, still holding his dinosaur plush. "Did you get my message?" Tsukishima reached out to his cell phone that was sitting atop of the small oak table in front of him. 36, 4th floor, third on the end. "What is this supposed to mean, Yamaguchi?" "We're going out. Come on." Tsukishima looked down at his pajama pants. "Don't fight me on this." Tsukishima sighed. "Can we just take the car so that way I can stay inside? It's raining." Yamaguchi sighed and picked up the keys. "Let's go." Yamaguchi drove them down to where he was earlier that day. He pulled up to the small grocery store where Hiro was already in and left Tsukishima in the car as he went in. "What are these for?" Yamaguchi dropped flowers onto Tsukishima's lap. He then began driving the short distance in the continuing rainstorm. He pulled up in front of Listener's building. "Listener lives here." "When did you... where?" "The place I texted you." Tsukishima was already out of the car, closing the door before Yamaguchi could finish. Tsukishima was running, not being cautious of how slippery it was when he tripped on the last step, scraping his knee off of the wall, and the 4th floor knocking him over. He looked down at his ripped pajama pants as his knee was freshly wounded, bleeding. The flowers were now damaged as he had landed on them. He regained himself as he rushed towards the door. Yamaguchi had messaged 1, 2, 3, there. He thought to himself as he hammered on the door. Tsukishima didn't realize how hard he was knocking anymore as he just kept going, desperate to see them once again. On the other side of the door, Listener was sitting in their window again, sniffling. They assumed it was the rain making them ill, not aware they had started crying again. They thought about how nice it would be to have Tsukishima here to nurse their illness away. Their thoughts were interrupted by a loud hammering on their door. They slowly approached the door as they looked out the peephole. There stood a tall blonde figure, touching his ripped open knee. Tsukishima, they thought. They were imagining it as they pulled open the door. "Hi?" He looked up to meet their eyes, sleep deprivation clear on their face, along with marks from what seemed to be like tears. Their hair was messy and wet, eyes puffy and swollen. They held their arm up covering their mouth as the other held the door tightly. "You're bleeding." They reached out to pull him inside and their apartment, sitting him on a couch. "Listener, these are for you." He hands Listener the damaged flowers in his hand. They take them and set them down on a little table. "I'm gonna go get something for your knee." They rushed off to the bathroom. Tsukishima looked around the apartment. It looked as if someone was moving out rather than living here. They came back, rushing to him. "Are you okay? What happened?" They picked it up to clean his wound. He groaned out in pain. "I slept running up the stairs. I didn't want to wait another second to see you." They looked him in the eyes. Tears could be seen forming at the sides now. He reached over and brushed them away. "Please, just hear me out." They nodded in agreement. "I'm not good with expressing my emotions, but I made a mistake. Many mistakes. I should have tried to talk to you about how I was feeling. I wasn't intentionally pushing you away. I did avoid you, and I was rude, and I was just... He took a deep breath, tears now falling down his face. It's okay. Take your time, they said as they placed their hand on top of his. I didn't want to break up. I was just distancing myself so that way I could hide my surprise for you. He reached into his pajama pockets and pulled out a ring. I was gonna propose to you, listener. Our 2nd year anniversary is this month. I was just so scared you'd say no, and then I just distanced myself, and then I skipped dates to avoid telling you, and I acted like a huge prick, and Tsukishima was cut off by listener pulling him into a kiss. Tsukishima thought at first he was imagining it, moving his hands up to their hair, adding more passion into it. The two only pulled away when they needed air. I'm really sorry for everything, too. I feel so bad for what I said. Loving you wasn't a mistake. It's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I missed you so much. Tsukishima pulled them into his chest, his heart beating in their ear. I love you more than anything, and I'm so sorry for everything as well. This month has been terrible without you. Will you come home with me, listener? They pulled away looking up at him. Yeah, I will. I missed you more than anything, and I know you have trouble expressing your emotions, but let's work on it together. On one condition. They looked at him with clear confusion on their face. He let go fully and got down on his non-injured knee. Will you marry me, listener? Yeah, I will. I can't believe you had this in your pocket, they said, leaning down, giving him another kiss. I love you too, so much. I always have it in my pocket just in case I saw you again. They looked at him as they covered their mouth with their hand. Suki. Oh, and listener, thank you for giving me another chance and making me the happiest man I could ever be. He pulled you into a hug again. You two stayed there for a while. Oh, and Yamaguchi's in the car. They chuckled. Let me just pack up some things, that way we can go. Is this your apartment? He asked. No, it's my friend's. On that note, Tsukishima helped them grab their bag as they headed out, back to their once shared apartment. Back in the car, Yamaguchi apologized for following listener and trying to talk with them. They didn't seem to mind now that they were back in Tsukishima's arms. Yamaguchi dropped them off as they headed upstairs, and the two changed as they climbed into bed together. Tsukishima pulled listener into his chest. I missed holding you like this, he spoke softly into their hair. I missed it too, they said as they gave him a light kiss on his chest. Listener now took the place of Tsukishima's dinosaur plush, as they were his new favorite thing to hold. Alright, so that's the end of this one. I originally didn't want to do the part 2, but here we are, I guess. Either way, as I said at the beginning, I had important information, so I probably won't be taking requests in December because my motivation has been down lately, and it might go back up, but sometimes the nature that you guys ask for things, like not necessarily requests, or just the way you say things, can be rude, and it's not all of you, it really isn't, it's just a few people, but I don't know, and I knew it was going to happen eventually because, like, you know, as the channel grows, there's more and more people, and there means there's, like, less good people in the channel, and I'm not saying you guys aren't good, but, yeah, I just wanted to say that I'll probably be doing what I want to do for December. This is minus the birthday requests that I've already gotten, because I will be doing those for sure, since I already said I would. I'm going to continue going out and, like, go through, like, November's request, but again, December probably will be doing what I want to do. I'm going to do something similar to Halloween Week, where I do the Christmas special, so I think it'll be like the 12 days of Christmas or something, and if you have any fanfics to suggest for that, I'd go ahead and leave those in the comments. It makes my job easier, for finding the fanfics at least. Yeah, so that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye!